Welcome to another edition of Kebabs and Wine on Food Lovers TV. We're at By the Blue, the inspired Indian restaurant at the Grand Mercure, Bangalore. So this evening we're going to taste a prawn preparation, a Jhinga Nisha here at By the Blue. And of course, to help me in this tasting, we have Himanshu Asher, Food Lovers Food and Wine moderator. We have Gaurav Shiva, the general manager of the Grand Mercure, and of course we have Chef Sridhar Sigatapu. So let's start directly. Let's start right away with you, Sridhar. So Sridhar, tell us about this prawn kebab.
We have Jhinga Nisha, an excellent prawn starter. Any time of the day, especially in terms of the late evenings or in the night, it's an excellent starter. It's simple marination with yogurt and dry pomegranate powder. Just marinated for about 10-15 minutes and then skewered and cooked in the tandoor. Goes really well with either Indians or expats, and really a great starter.
Alright, so what are the wines that we're tasting with this, Himanshu?
You know, Kripal, I think what Chef Sridhar has prepared is respecting the ingredient, the main ingredient, that's the tiger prawns. And I think I'm really looking at 4 different grape varietals, and I'm hoping that we have all 4 different winners as well, because we've got a Chenin Blanc which matches the sweetness with the sweetness of the prawn. We have a Chardonnay which is fruit forward, and I think will go wonderful well with the entire dish as such. We also have a Viognier, and I think Viognier is a perfect food wine for the kebabs in the category of white wines we have. And we have a Charisma Sauvignon Blanc, which I think will be a great contrast and a relevant contrast to the sweetness of the dish and the acidity of the Sauvignon Blanc, and would cleanse the palate to prepare for the next morsel. And I'm really looking forward to this tasting. Gaurav, I really tend to look at this dish more in its purest form of just the prawn itself, and I think it's got so much of the sweetness, the texture, the lightness to the whole thing. I would go more towards the fruit as far as the wine is concerned, and all of them, whether you take a Chenin or a Chardonnay or a Viognier and a Sauvignon Blanc, are fruit forwards. But what's to the palate that comes forth is the Chardonnay. If it was, I'll pair it with seasons. If it was a hot summer day, I'll definitely take a Chardonnay. I would take a Viognier when it's towards the evening of sorts. Sauvignon Blanc for I would say more towards the crisp acidity that it just astringes the whole thing, and then you go back to the dish and clears the palate. And Chenin is, if I was looking at a bit spicier version in a different place, I would go for it. But I think as a food wine, I would gravitate towards the Viognier or the Chardonnay any day. But that's the wholesomeness of the dish to me.
Yeah, I think, like you rightly said, all of them have fruit.
Yeah.
But I found them. This is now. So it's the prawn, it's seafood, of course. There's a bit of the marination, so there's a bit of the spice kick. I mean, it's not overly spiced, and I think it's very well executed, Sridhar. I just found that, so for example, with the Chenin Blanc, I found that it had the sweetness that could carry the spice, but didn't have the acidity backing it up.
I agree.
With the Chardonnay, I just felt that it didn't have the strength to carry the prawn, the spices in the prawn. Whereas with the Viognier, I mean, if you just have the wine by itself, I mean, it's a very, it's a wine that's fairly neutral in terms of its flavor profile. It doesn't really beg you to go back to it, but when you pair that with the prawn, and suddenly the spices in the prawn,
Yeah.
you know, merge or marry so well with the wine to kind of give it a whole new dimension. I think this is a classic case of a dish elevating the wine, so to speak. And the Viognier, I think the classical, you know, the slightly bitter note that you get at the very end, I think it does so very well to complete or, you know, to round off the palate. And I think that's why this is a favorite for me. Personally, I love the Sauvignon Blanc. I think it's a great wine. I just find that it probably has a bit too much racy acidity, you know, to kind of go well with the prawns here. And therefore, I think for me, the Viognier
foils it perfectly.
completely. It holds it so well, and it's a perfect marriage of the food and the wine, or the kebab and the wine.
So, Jhinga Nisha, a very crisp prawn preparation with very less time of marination. I think for me what really worked for this dish and the wine was the sweetness of the prawn, which married extremely well with the charisma Sauvignon Blanc. So I think I will pick that for the evening.